Are you studying to work in the film industry as a director or a cinematographer, a writer, or maybe even an actor? Are you looking for films to watch for research? Well, I've got the list for you. Welcome back to Cinematographer Film Friends. Here are my film recommendations for all of my aspiring film industry professionals. Let's start off with our DPs. Here's a list of films that excel in visual language and why they might inspire some of your own shots. Kubrick's underrated comedy Barry Lyndon has been considered one of the most beautifully shot films, all thanks to John Alcott, the cinematographer of the project. The story is a commentary on the hypocrisy of the elites, and Alcott replicates this ingeniously by making each frame look like a gorgeous landscape painting. Doing so, he represents the elegance of the elite, but the images are juxtaposed by the dialogue and the actions of the scene itself. Watching this will teach you how to add a stunning touch to a film while also contributing to the film's theme. In Agnes Varda's bold docudrama Jane B for Agnes V, cinematographers Nurse and Pierre Laurent capture the essence and personality of Jane Birkin through surrealistic and poised shots. The unconventional documentary follows the very absurd conversations between Jane Birkin and Agnes Varda, and the visuals follow this absurdity. The visuals are symbolic and divert from the realistic way of shooting documentaries. They use the stylistic personality of their subject, in this case Jane, to drive the visuals. When you watch this riveting documentary, you learn how to make bold decisions to bring the subject's style and personality into the visuals. And for my final recommendation, I would suggest every cinematographer to go watch Pawlikowski's poignant Ida. The approach of the visual style of the film is simplistic. It doesn't use a lot of crazy shot ideas, but rather focuses on framing and angles. Never once does the visual steal you away from the scene, which should always be the main focus. Watching this film, you learn how to create gorgeous shots minimalistically, and the film serves as a reminder that your shots should only represent or capture the scene and not steal the scene spotlight. And now onto the backbone of the industry, my scriptwriters. Looking for some good films to break down their storytelling capabilities? Start with these classics. Sidney Lumet's Network, written by Paddy Chayefsky, is one of my favorite screenplays ever. Its riveting dialogue and fleshed out characters hook you from beginning all the way to the credits rolling. But the script isn't just entertaining, it's stimulating. It tackles multiple issues regarding the media and never once bores you with what it has to say. The characters are wickedly fascinating, their honest personalities reflect reality, and that's what draws us to them. The writing is raw, honest, and entertaining. The film teaches you that what matters most in writing is integrity and cohesivity. If you have a cohesive theme, and you write as accurately as people speak, then you have a good script. Martin McDonagh's writing in Bruges is grippingly hilarious. His ability to mesh concepts of existentialism with humor seamlessly is jaw-droppingly brilliant. His discussions of morality are articulate and not pretentious. He communicates it in simple and riveting terms, never once making you feel like you are being lectured. Mix in his comedy and you have gold. His wit is timed perfectly and adds a balance to the somber topics the film discusses. It is quick and adds that entertaining quality. Not to mention that his character's personality represent these two aspects. He brings the humorous quality in Farrell's character, and Gleason's character communicates the more serious topic. Through this film, you will learn how to balance juxtaposing topics and characters and when to blend them seamlessly. For my final recommendation, I suggest Thomas Vinterberg's magnum opus, The Hunt, written both by Vinterberg himself and fellow collaborator Tobias Lindholm. The Hunt grips you. It takes a simplistic approach. It doesn't overwhelm you with core arguments or long, dragging dialogues. The conversations are simple and much more quiet than you would expect. They choose the right moments when to talk and when to let the action speak. A film with this premise can easily fall victim to lengthy, wordy debates, but this doesn't. It stays focused on the character, giving the actors room to tell the story through their own eyes. It is a script that perfectly exemplifies the number one rule of filmmaking: show, don't tell. Watching the film, you learn how to choose moments to use dialogue, and in those moments how to articulate things subtly, and give space and room for your audience and actors to interpret it for themselves. And now we talk about the people who bring the film to life, the actors. Cassavetes, A Woman Under the Influence, is a perfect example of just how powerful a performance can be to a story. The film also goes to show the power of trust in your scene partner and the importance of chemistry. Roland's and Falk's interactions are impeccable. They use the others' performances as energy to feed into their own. This shows us how very loud and extremely expressive interactions and performances can be the right choice for a film. But of course, being loud and aggressive isn't all acting's about. So let's turn to my second recommendation, which is Todd Haynes' Carol. I believe this is the ideal film to study the art of subtlety. Doing less is doing more. And Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara proves this. They take their time, they don't overdo their contrasting personalities, they just converse. Raw, honest, and true. Now finally, to a film that knows how to balance both melodrama and subtlety, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. Naomi Watts knows exactly when to use her melodrama and very artificially stiff performance, and when to dive into that realistic, subtle performances. Her balance throughout the film and ability to switch is admirable and a talent that needs to be observed and mastered for every aspiring actor. And now on to the people that make film possible, our producers. Of course, to study up on your field, you need to look into what happens off screen. You need to study how they make the film and how it's distributed. So for your recommendations, I'm going to give you great films that I think well represent the process and effort it takes to make one. Charlie Kaufman's Synecdoche, New York, Federico Fellini's 8½, and the documentary Heart of Darkness, A Filmmaker's Apocalypse. These films are a great way to see the hectic lives of the industry and highlights the importance of a producer. Of course, Synecdoche and 8½, are dramatized recalling of things, but still worth the watch. These films give insight into management and control. They show you the importance of keeping a production in check and ensuring it doesn't leave beyond your supervision. Now finally, to the people that drive our film. The filmmakers. I know by now people have recommended the classics, The Godfather, 2001, etc. While these are all very important and very necessary, I decided to give you a set of films that maybe have not yet been recommended to you. Starting off with one of my personal favorites, Ingmar Bergman's Wild Strawberries. Bergman's very articulate and delicate storytelling is something perfect for any beginner filmmaker. He shows you just how far you can make it on a low budget and a solid story. The film is incredibly cohesive, and because of the film's scale, you can take inspiration for it for starting off. He shows you how you can create a riveting trace in your audience with a small budget and a simple but creative story. But more importantly, the film shows you the strength of having an overarching theme to connect your scenes to. Once you have this down, your film will feel alive, intentional, and significant. And now, to juxtapose, I want to recommend a big-scale epic, Akira Kurosawa's legendary Ran. Starting off, you probably won't be able to replicate such a grand film like this, but I want you to approach and study this film for its directing. Kurosawa shows us the importance of character and plot development. He takes a story and amplifies it on a larger scale, but never once deviates the attention of the story. He ensures that every scene, dialogue, and character holds importance, and never wastes a second of screen time. The film is the most effective and entertaining epic yet, and it's just a masterclass in directorial abilities. And now onto a more modern film, Denis Villeneuve's Incendies. Gripping and genius. Villeneuve shows us the power a filmmaker has to manipulate and deceive an audience. In a film with one of cinema's most major plot twists, he tells a story with such precision and suspense that never lets you look away from the scene. The film is a perfect film to study and learn how to control your audience and their attention. You learn how to let a story develop well and have scene to scene melt together seamlessly. You learn how to be meticulous and pay attention to the tiny details and how to use these details to your advantage. He shows you when to use dialogue or cinematography or actors properly and when to choose your timing. It is a film that is perfect from beginning to end and is a definite must-watch. So there it is, my film recommendations for all of my aspiring film industry professionals. Tune in to part 2 where I'll give recommendations to other roles like the editors, the costume designers, production designers, etc. Until then.